So a few months ago, Daniel posted that he reached $10,000 in monthly recurring revenue with his cleaning company that he had launched in June 2023. So, Daniel, we wanted to bring you in here for what we call our hot seat call, which is where we just sit down, we have a conversation, we talk about your journey, and we share with everyone out there on YouTube and our coaching clients how we reached these milestones. So you started your cleaning company June 2023. What did you do before that?
Okay, so this is completely out of left field, but I have been a digital marketer for 17 years. Like this whole cleaning thing came out of it came from somewhere. I'll tell you that in a minute, but my background is digital marketing. I specialized in leading B2B, SaaS, and e-com. And so like my most recent position was I was a chief marketing officer of a Web3 company. It was cool. It was sexy. I was part owner. We were doing cool shit. And then suddenly I had a massive flaming burnout, which
Oh,
I left the industry, left that job, left my sexy ass role, and decided I would do something that is as far away from Web3 as possible, which it turns out is cleaning toilets. So I thought, what the heck? Let's just do this. So I started this cleaning company. We launched on June 20th, and it's been a wild ride. Very exciting. That's my background.
That's so great. I think, it's something that we talk a lot about, like what is the magic formula for success in this industry? And I have to tell you, there's something about severe burnout that makes it so that there's a perspective I bet you have where you're like, this is fine. It's all good, in comparison to the other stress you had before.
It's crazy. I mean, I'm sure that anybody who's on this call today and anybody who watches this is going to be able to identify with that burnout moment.
Yep.
And it's a horrible feeling, but at the same time, it can produce some good results. And I don't want to say that everything has a reason because that's bullshit. But in this case, I was able to kind of turn around, kind of shake off some of that shit, as Taylor Swift put it, and move on up. So here we are,
Yep.
and have a company. So
That's awesome. And the digital marketing thing, okay, so I'm going to park that for now because I know we're going to come back around to it because that's a huge piece of what's going to make you really successful, I'm sure. I'm sure you've got some tools, but we'll come back to that. So you start your cleaning company. It is called what and where is it?
yeah, it's called Clean Co. So clean, just like you spell it, no fancy K's or anything like that. Clean Co, C-O, and we're located right up the road from you, Renard, in Greenville, South Carolina. And we serve the entire upstate region of South Carolina, which is about a 50-mile radius of Greenville. So there's about 1.2 million homes in the area, and we service that entire area. We don't have all 1.2 million homes yet, but we've got goals to shoot for. So that's where I'm located, Southeast USA.
Okay, cool. And Clean Co, great name. Great name. And it's Clean Co Greenville, isn't it?
Yeah, so I kind of branded it Clean Co Greenville because I wanted to specify that particular geolocation. So the website is cleancogreenville.com. And then I also thought, hey, I can spin this off and potentially have other businesses. So in November, I decided to launch Clean Co Commercial. And we are servicing businesses, offices, commercial spaces. That launched in November. And just last week, I closed on a sweet ass deal for the commercial cleaning company in which we're cleaning a 400,000 foot old fashioned mill that's been converted into lofts. So I have full-time people there. We're rolling that out. So the commercial side of the business is also taken off, and that's exciting.
Okay. And are they doing 30-day terms? How are you cash flowing the commercial? Because that's always the concern that most people starting cleaning companies will have. They get excited about commercial, and then it's like, oh, wait, they want to pay me in 30 days and I have to pay my cleaners today. So how are you doing that?
So I was like, that's not going to work. Hey, we can't do 30 days. But I found out that some of these companies are very like locked into this, and they have these corporate overlords and these contracts and these billing companies and these invoicing systems, and you just got to play with it. Otherwise, you're shafted. But I said, hey, I'm going to need payment in net 10. And they're like, okay, sure. We usually turn around our invoices in 48 hours. As long as you send it on this date, I'll probably have it turned around to you within the next 2 days. So I thought, I can work with that. So we're worked out. None of this bullshit net 30 stuff. Because
Yeah.
I'm nobody's bank. I'm a little bitty business and I can't hold on to thousands of dollars for over a month. So it seemed to work out. I mean, fingers crossed, because this is brand new and I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing. This is just like one massive WTF moment. And so I don't even know why I'm here today. Like, what am I even doing? I'm just like talking, but I'm like building this parachute as I'm hurtling down at 9,000 meters per second. So just wanted to put that out there.
Which is exactly why we invited you into the hot seat, because I knew from the minute I met you, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. And honestly, we don't know what we're doing either. Like, we're all in the same boat, fumbling our way through, having the big career pivots, but then more than anything, being able to share what works, right? Like that's what I think Jen and I love anyway about our community, is that people share what works. So that's really, really helpful. We have a similar thing. We have a group of apartment buildings that we clean, and they found us on Google. They reached out and I did a walkthrough with them and then was like, what are we going to do about this net 30 thing? Like, and Jen, my sister who runs the other half of our business, she deals with our books, and she's always like, we never again, never again. Like, okay. But only for cash flow, and I didn't have the guts to say I can do net 10. So I'm going to take that from you and try that the next time.
I mean, do it with my caution, because I don't, like I said, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just faking it till I make it. So if this turns around and bites me in the A, don't come to me, because I've warned you that this is just me kind of making it up as I go along.
So on that note, then, what's your monthly revenue right now? So we're having this call on January 22nd, 2024, just to put that in context for, our internet audience. So you've been open since June, so that's 7 months. Is that right?
7 months. Going on 7 months.
Using my fingers. So 7 months. Okay. So what's your monthly revenue now? If you don't mind.
No, that's fine. I looked at it just today and I crested on Friday. I was about 8,500 net for the month. Sorry,
Okay.
gross for the month. So I'll probably be grossing 15 to 7, if my projections are correct, 17 to 18 actually by the end of the month.
Nice.
And that's with the new commercial contract that I picked up. So I'd love to be at 50 by the end of Q1 and then cruising into, who knows, the sky's the limit, but that's the kind of the goal that I have, and we'll see how it goes.
Man, if you make it to 50 within Q1, you're going to have $1 million company for sure. Your second year, for sure.
Don't jinx me, but
I know, you're right.
I'll push it. I've got my coach. We're like, let's go, let's push it. But yeah.
You're right. 50K. And it's funny, like 10K is kind of the first marker, the monthly recurring revenue, because then you can pay your bills, right? Like if you're doing 10K, then, and do you know your profit margins, your percentages?
I'm about 40%.
Amazing. So then you've got 40%. So you can live off of that. It's not great, but it replaces a job, right? Which is great. And then 50K, now you're in like, okay, I can take my family for vacation. I can start planning bigger things.
That's exactly right. And one of the reasons why I started this particular type of company, and Rohan, I thank the lords and the gods and the universes every day for you, because you are the man who put me on this journey. I found this business because I can work from home. Okay. Yep. I can also like put this business on autopilot. Like if I don't want to spend, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, I don't have to. And with the things that I have going on in my life right now, the complications, the drama, we all have it. Yep. That actually serves me so well, because I don't have the time. I honestly do not have the bandwidth to have a 40-hour-a-week job. And this is far less than that. And I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah, same. And so, okay. So again, context there for the YouTube audience who don't know who Rohan is. Rohan is the guy who basically taught us all. He kind of started this. He did a Reddit thread over 10 years ago. Then he keeps doing these kind of 30-day courses. We've got one here on the channel that we did as a 21-day version. He and Kevin are doing one right now, which is the January course. And so for you, Daniel, how did you find this guy, Rohan? And we make it seem like he's a guru. He's just a guy, you guys. He's a guy who believes in the internet and shares stuff. And he's amazing because he did change our lives. But this is not a cult, I promise you. Just sounds so culty.
It actually is a cult, and we do sacrifices and stuff, but we won't get into that until you actually pay us, and then you're in the cabal.
Yeah.
No, I think what happened was the like the Instagram gods knew
Oh,
that I
yeah.
was flailing about, and so they targeted me with Rohan stuff. And I was like, this is really interesting. This guy claims that he can take 30 days
Yeah.
and tell me how to build a revenue generating business.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a hook. Obviously, Rohan knows what's up, and obviously, I fell for it, and I was in. So I didn't mean to bring up Rohan as like I didn't mean to come out like this. I am not paid for this. I'm not doing any marketing. I
Nope.
promise. Despite the fact that we're in a cult together, so I just took that course because I was targeted somehow by the ads, by the
Amazing.
algorithm.
That's amazing. I got to talk to his people and find out what they did there. They're always experimenting and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. The main thing is that just knowing, somebody else has done this before. That's the thing for us with Jen and I anyway. I told you before, Jen had a similar situation to you where her life changed drastically 2 years ago. And in my case, I was, working with another family business and, complications and changing careers and just kind of looking at my life. I think it was the pandemic. So many of us just went like, what are we doing? As a planet, as a species, but then as me individually, what am I doing? And so for me, when Jen called me and said, I saw this tweet by this guy, and I was like, you're crazy, but we'll try it. And we tried it and we passed 1 million in revenue within 26 months. But Daniel, I swear to God, like you're going to beat us for sure.
It's not a competition. I mean, we are in the cult together, so there is a little bit of that, but for anybody who's actually watching this, like I have such a high bullshit detector. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
If I can see somebody and they're just like riffing and trying to spin something, I'm like, hell no. This
No.
is not that. Like
No.
I am just honestly hauling ass and doing this little family biz here in South Carolina, and nobody paid me to say anything that's not true. So everything that's coming from me is from the heart. And I mean, you just went for it, Vic, with the whole metaphysics and stuff. Like, yeah, what are we doing as a species? Well, we got to pay our bills. We got to pay the rent. We got to take care of our kids. And this is allowing me to do that right now. And so I'm really grateful.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. And in my case, I get to go to yoga in the middle of the day. And when I had a job, that wasn't a thing. You could go, that 1 hour lunch break you get. You can't actually fit in a whole class. You have to drive, you have to shower, it's always more than an hour, right? So now I can plan everything around the thing that's more important to me, which is, my yoga. I don't know if you can hear that. Our fire alarm's going off because my sister's cooking. You can't hear it?
Must be some good shit. Keep cooking.
Yeah, it's just, we just need to clean the oven. Got to get the cleaners in here.
No, I mean, I'll fly out there, we'll see what happens if you can make it happen.
Well, the other thing that I think is interesting is that you have a local service business that is a true local service business, and same with us. We're not trying to do this remotely. A lot of people on the internet try to kind of pitch that you can do this remotely, and you can. In your case and in our case, I would say it's a lot easier if you're actually a part of your community doing it where you are, right? Would you agree with that?
Wholeheartedly agree with that. And I'm going to even take it a step further. But first of all, as a sort of an amen corner on that point, I do want to emphasize that I am highly like my community is a big deal to me.
Right.
Like I'm part of networking groups. I'm sitting for city council positions. I'm in commissions. This is important to me, as well as the public schools that my children go to. I'm sponsoring stuff and getting involved. Okay. But the real thing that has allowed me to cherish the local aspect of this is being able to cultivate my team members. Okay. So I'm hiring people and I'm not just being like, okay, let's throw something up on Indeed and see, and see what sticks. I'll actually interview people 3 times in person before I actually offer them a job. And the reason for that is it's so intentional because it's values based. I have 3 core values. And if they're not jiving with those values, and I'm not sensing that they're jiving with those values, we're not going to work out. And I want to see that. So that's why I'm having these in-person interviews with these local community members who do want to get involved in a local company. So that's really important to me, is cultivating that team.
So what are these 3 core values?
Yeah, it's be kind, do
Mhm.
what you say, and figure it out. And those are the three things that I emphasize. And it sounds so like truly, literally elementary. Like my daughter is in third grade, and she's like, the school motto is be kind. And I'm here as an adult telling these adult people who are my employees, be kind. It's so basic, but it's
Yeah.
also so essential because what we are doing is a very high trust, very high touch industry where we're literally going into people's bathrooms and closets and bedrooms and making their beds. So you
Yeah.
better believe that we got to be kind. Like there is a
Yeah.
real personal rapport that
Yeah.
needs to be happening in this high trust, high touch industry. And that's why I'm just like, be kind. And then second of all, obviously figure it out, like if there's a problem, there's going to be problems, figure it out.
Mhm.
And then do what you say, because reliability is one of the most important traits you can have as somebody who's in residential cleaning. Show up at 9 o'clock. Please do what you say.
Oh, I love that. I'm totally stealing that. I'm 100% stealing that because it's true. Those are probably ours too. We haven't thought them through enough to break them down into three things, but that's it right there. Yeah. Do what you say you will. Hmm. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about roadblocks. So you've had like some amazing successes. You've got the perspective of, I had a job I hated, so therefore this job is a million times better, which is amazing. But there's likely been some roadblocks on your path. So tell us about some things that maybe have been difficult or kind of stumbling blocks that you wish you hadn't experienced, or now you've learned from them.
I'll give two.
Awesome.
And the reason why I'm giving these is because I feel like I'm in a position where, again, figuring out as I go along, but I have actually made some mistakes. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, now I feel like I have the wherewithal to say, please don't make these mistakes.
Yeah.
And those mistakes are as follows. Number one, being so desperate for people that you'll just hire anybody. And that's this whole 360 come to Jesus moment where I was like, oh my goodness, these people that I hired are not the kind of people that need to be in this role. And I was doing 1099s, they were contractors, and it was a little, here's this, and I'll give you the money, I'll pay you same day. I had to take a deep breath and be like, I can't do this. I can't work with you guys anymore. I'm sorry, but I had to go like back to the basics of values and commitment and reliability. And that's when I started just hiring really good people. The thing about hiring really good people is that you expect to compensate them a little bit more, right? This
Yes.
is not wage stuff that we can do anymore. And that takes a significant amount of your bottom line, but it's worth it because that's how you hang on to those contracts for the long term. That's how you develop commitment from your clients. So I guess to sum it all up, hire the right people. Again,
Yeah.
so this is business 101, but it's true,
It
you
is
know.
business 101, but it's the hardest part of this business, because you're not selling widgets, you're not selling supplies, you're not selling products, you are literally selling people. So your
Exactly.
people, and in any business, I would argue your people are the most important, but in this particular business, in cleaning industry, they truly, like if you do not have good people, you're screwed. So did you make them employees? Is that what you mean when you said they were contractors and now they're not?
Yes, but I'll qualify that. First of all, I had to get rid of the people that I hired at first because they simply were not reliable. They wouldn't show up, et cetera. And I realized I wasn't qualifying them effectively.
Yeah.
So that's when I instated that 3 interview in person type of thing going on. That's why when I instated my values. And that's also when I just decided to hire exclusively W-2 employees.
Okay.
So
So when they're W-2s, now I'm in Canada, so this is always different for us, but I get the gist of it. They're an employee and it's different paperwork. So you guys always call them 1099s. And I always think that's so funny because I'm like, okay, so they're people.
they're numbers.
Yeah. What's like,
They're tax entities. It's all that it is. W-2 is an employee, and thankfully you can have part-time employees. So
okay.
I don't have to yes, I am paying their disability, I am paying their unemployment, I'm paying their FICA, I'm paying all these taxes on their behalf, disability, et cetera. But I don't have to pay like at the wazoo for benefits and all of this like stuff that an employee that's a full-time might expect or deserve. I don't have to do that because most of the time they're working 20 to 25 hours a week, my
Okay.
W-2.
And that's probably the sweet spot for them in terms of quality of life, because once you start cleaning 40 hours a week is too much for anybody. But yeah, I'd say 30 is kind of full time for us.
Exactly. And, all of my employees, well, most of my employees, they have kids, they have lives, they have things to do. And they're like, yeah, I can't work on Fridays, or I can't work on, from 2 p.m. onward because I'm picking my kid up from school. And I'm like, that's fine. That's totally fine. Here's the cleaning availability that I have. Take your
Yeah.
pick, do what you want to do, go forth. And the cool thing about the system that we're using, Convert Labs, is that you can do that. You can be like, pick your jobs, pick your time, do your thing, and it works really
Yeah.
well.
So you're using the invite button so that they can then pick and choose which ones work for them. Is that okay? Cool.
And it's fairly limited right now because I am a startup. I'm kind of like wanting to sort of have my hands in a lot of that. Not that I'm micromanaging them, but
Yeah.
I am stipulating, okay, yeah, I get your time constraints. And so I'm just going to go ahead and assign you some things. That way, I also can know what clients we're serving, what day. I can go out and visit those clients in person if I feel like it's necessary, make those moves.
Yeah, that's great. And then, so do you mind sharing approximately how much your cleaners are actually earning?
I'm sharing that at all. I start them out at $18.10 per hour.
Okay.
One of my cleaners actually makes $20 an hour.
Yep.
But, and this is a big but, I give them extra money for the following: transportation, which is compensated at 65 cents per mile, but I just average it out and give them, I think, 10 miles per clean. Okay, so if they have 2 cleans per day, they're getting $6.50 for that first trip that they go to, and they're getting $6.50 for, obviously, 65 cents a mile, 10 miles. So they're getting, 13 extra bucks for that day of cleaning because they had to drive their car around and stuff. And I ask them to keep their equipment in their car, so they don't have to go back to some office or a warehouse and pick some stuff. That's just a waste of time and gas. Nobody wants to do that. And then the second thing I do is I compensate them for the laundry. So I don't want to be taking, rags each night. Who has time for that? So I ask them to launder their own rags at their facilities if they so choose. They don't have to. And then I give them $3 a load. So that offers that essentially I just equate one cleaning job with one load of rags. So
Right.
even if they have 3 jobs in the day, I'm going to give them $9 in laundry compensation. So $18.10 per hour, plus 65 cents a mile at 10 miles per clean, plus $3 per load of laundry. So essentially that's, more like a little bit more than $18.10 per hour. Does that make sense? That was a lot of numbers.
No, that was good. It helps me. And then, because for context, is that a lot of money where you live?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think the minimum wage in my state is like around $13, and that's just kind of chintzy. That's kind of cheap. It's really hard to pay rent and stuff. In South Carolina, we have generally a lower cost of living as compared with the rest of the United States.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a pretty good gig. People can't, like, bus drivers for the city, they make less.
Okay. And construction workers, like somebody holding a sign on the street corner, what would they be making?
They're going to make 11 to maybe 10 or $11 an hour. Because, and again, this is a huge caveat, there's a lot of corruption in the state, but a lot of times there's people who are working in an undocumented status, which means that they're liberated from the oversight of the government. And unfortunately, a lot of that goes on, even though it's not exactly legal. And I do not participate in any illegal activities.
Yeah.
In case somebody is watching this video.
That's good. Yeah, I always wonder that, because it is something that is so distinctly American and Southern states that is so different. Like for any of the Canadians that are watching, like, we just don't have that. We just don't. Like, it's so hard to get to Canada that we don't have this whole pool of undocumented labor. And then for context, our construction workers, somebody holding a sign, and I say that because it's a similar skill level in terms of cleaning. Like, it's not cleaning, I would actually argue, is a lot more skilled, but in terms of how the general population views somebody holding a sign, somebody holding a bucket, fairly similar. Okay, so they are starting at about $25 an hour here. And so we pay our cleaners closer to 35 to 40 an hour. And our minimum wage, I don't actually know what it is, but I think it might even be 18. So it's good to have the context of just, what is good where you are, because it's a different cost of living. So you mentioned you had two stories. So you said one was about like not understanding that hiring is the most important thing. And then the second one, what's the second roadblock or stumbling that you've had?
If I could drop one piece of advice, and if you can walk away from this conversation with just one thing, this is it. Stop cleaning.
Oh,
Like, let me say that again. Don't clean. Do not clean. No cleaning. No star. Do
Yeah.
not clean. Like, that is all I want to say. Like we talked about, okay, hiring and people. Well, guess what? The most important person in your organization is yourself, right? Call it enlightened self-interest rather than arrogance, because you got to watch out for yourself. And look, if like I tell my people this, the reason why I'm not cleaning is because I'm growing the cleaning company. I want the most exciting part of my week is when I run payroll because I'm giving you the money. But look, if I am over on Delwood Drive cleaning that blessed 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house for that delightful old couple, the company is not benefiting from me pushing them up over there. Like, I can sling them up with the best of them. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't have started this company if I hated cleaning. However, my time and resources and energy are best spent working on the business, not in the business. I know it's cliche. Everybody from Gary Vaynerchuk to whoever else is going to say that to you, but really it is a thing. And that's what I've learned. The most important thing I can do is actually not doing cleaning. So that's the one lesson that I wanted. I've been thinking about this for weeks, and I was like, I want to tell you guys, don't clean.
Yeah.
Don't clean. Full stop.
And I love that because that is, having been a part of our community for the last few years and meeting the hundreds of people that we have in there, I will say that is a common theme of the folks who struggle, is that they are struggling because they're busy cleaning at the same time as trying to run a company. And I totally get it, because you got to pay your bills, right? And when you're first starting out, you got to pay those bills and your kids need to be fed. And, if you don't have a good cleaner, you don't have time to look for a good cleaner, you end up grabbing the bucket, going out the house and doing it yourself. And it's such a catch-22, but you're absolutely right. Time has to be spent at the computer.
I do want to resonate with that, because like the easiest way to solve a problem is just to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to keep yourself from doing that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think, I learned from Rohan, to just track your numbers, look at your numbers, relentlessly track, dog those numbers, look. And I found out that when I was actually going out and working, it would affect the bottom line. It would literally cause us to lose money. And so I'm going to spend those 2 hours that I would have spent at Delwood instead going on marketing, tweaking my ads, etc. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I get it.
It is. I agree. It's not hard for me because I really hate cleaning. Like, I hate it. More than happy to have somebody else do it. The hard part for me, I think, is not spinning my own wheels, feeling like I need to be busy doing something. And if I'm not doing something, that must be wrong, rather than, oh, it's Monday in January. We took 2 bookings today. My goal is 2 to 3 bookings a day. So I didn't take 3. Not a big deal. Took 2. I don't need to spin my wheels.
Totally feel the same thing. And again, I don't know if we're going over time here. I feel like we are.
Yeah,
However,
but it's time we start late.
Okay, I'm not gonna like get my panties in the water, get totally caught up in my mind if I'm not actually like churning out marketing emails or doing something. Because look, somebody just found my website organically and they clicked and they booked. Yay! I didn't do a dang thing to get that booking, except for just like, join the call, follow Rohan, do what he says. And now the bookings are just coming in. How pleasant is that? As a marketer, I'm thinking like, wow, that's great.
But also, I will say, so your name, Clean Co. Greenville, you've got your location, you've got your keywords, which we always teach in the thing now. It's like keywords and location, like to be specific. So people who are in Greenville are going to type best cleaning company, Greenville, or whatever. So you did some really smart things. You also did not do any funky spelling of clean. Which I know, but like we laugh about it, but like you would not believe the number of people in our community that have these wacky names where it's like, oh man, nobody's going to find you. And it's almost too simple that you don't believe it could be this easy. It
Yeah.
is that easy.
It is.
Cleaning Greenville. That's it.
And you told me something, like you told me something when we talked originally. You said, oh, change your H1 or something like that. And so my website literally says this: Greenville's best home cleaning. Okay, that's like total like face palming, ridiculously simple. But people are like Googling that. What's Greenville's best home cleaning? And lo and behold,
Yeah.
first page. Woohoo! So because I'm just stupid and typed in some stupid words, and that's
Well,
what works.
but you're not stupid because you stopped yourself from making stupid decisions. So those decisions are really important. They're so simple, but they're very, very important. And so you mentioned organic. Do you know your numbers, your percentage of organic versus paid leads by any chance?
Okay, so this is horrible because I'm a digital marketer, and the cobbler's kids have no shoes, the baker's kids have no bread, and the marketer's website is not doing a very good job marketing. I don't do anything paid right now. It's all organic. It's all social. I turned off the pays. I turned off. Don't mess with Bark. Angie's like, just get all that stuff. And
Oh my
I'm
God. You're
currently not
100% organic.
right now. Yes, I am. I don't
We
know.
only
It's
pay
taxing.
300 to Google right now, and we're billing at least 50K a month. And I still don't even want to give them 300, but I still give them 300 just to just in case. But we're probably 70 to 80% according to the numbers, but I believe we're more than that.
So what
I don't
happens?
know.
And again, just shut me off or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
me talking too much. But what I was doing is I was actually starving, so I wasn't making any money at all. So I was like, oh, I can't pay anybody anything. So
Yeah.
just like, let's just do it ourselves. And
Yeah.
so I've been relying on, obviously, I post organic social as well. So we're on Facebook and Instagram is my thing. So we do that.
Yeah.
But then the rest has just been coming in organically. And I don't know how that's happening, but I can say that Google, My Business, is a big deal. And so for
Huge.
about 2 weeks, for about 2 weeks, I turned on local service ads, and I was paying about $10 a lead, and I was closing about 50% of them. So sometimes they were just tire kickers. And I hate paying $10 for somebody to just kick my tires, but when they did call, I was able to close them with credit card in hand within 7 or 8 minutes.
Yep.
A mom would call me, and within 7 minutes, I would have her credit card because they were so primed. They were literally ready to close with whomever picked up the phone. It wasn't because I have some charm, although admittedly I do. It was my good looks, obviously, coming through on the phone. No, they booked because they were looking. So local service ads did work for a while when I was running them for a couple weeks.
And $10 is an incredible deal for that. Everyone else will say 25 to 30. In some areas, I've heard as much as $50 a lead. Like, it's brutally expensive now. So if
I
you can
wasn't
get it for
doing
10,
PPC. I mean, it was just LSA. So the LSA, I think they were kind of toying with it because it's like it's a new toy, and we're gonna, batten down the prices to be able to drive engagement, and then it's probably gone up. So I was lucky to get those $10 a lead.
that's really good though. And then, so you said Google My Business, which is just your basic business listing. Are you posting a certain number of updates, or just well, how is yours so good? Just reviews?
I don't post any like updates on Google My Business. I'll, update my Facebook status as the Spirit Leads, or post to Instagram stories as Spirit Leads. But really, I'm just, again, please don't follow my example. I'm just kind of doing stuff as I have the availability, or as I have inspiration, not because I'm on some type of schedule. Now, does a future me aspire to be so disciplined that I'm actually posting on a posting schedule? Oh, yes, of course. But that is not me right now. So I'm just doing what I can when I can.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We are the same way. We post once a week, but we do have a little bit more of a set. This is what we do once a week. I need it because I'm too ADHD without it. If I didn't have that, I would, dude, I have so many different things going. So I need the structure, but I get it. So, and I think that also speaks to, what we talked about before is how many people pivot, they change careers and end up in this one. And just how much it is kind of a fumble your way along, and yet so many other people quit. Right? So they reach it's hard to hire, and then they just stop. It's that's what's hard in this business.
I totally see that. And there's a huge realization that I experienced when I started my business. I thought, I'm going in, there's got to be a few cleaning businesses around in Greenville.
Mhm.
Let me tell you, everybody and their literal mother has a cleaning business. Like I kid you not, this is not an exaggeration. There's no hyperbole here, but I'm on Facebook. Okay. And so Greenville residents Facebook group, 20,000 members or whatever. Somebody says, I'm looking for a cleaner for my 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I have 2 kids and 2 dogs. And within 60 minutes, there will be 122 comments. And I'm using that specific number because that's what I saw a little while ago, like 4 o'clock my time. 122 comments saying, oh, I've got a cleaning company. Who knew? 122? Yes, because that's how many people can easily get into cleaning. You got a mop, you got a vacuum, great, go clean houses.
Yeah.
But what I think distinguishes the people who are, generating 5 figures a month and the people who are just like, I've got 2 houses in my subdivision, is I think you have to look at it as an actual business.
Yeah.
This is like a thing that I do. I clean the Johnson's house every other Friday. No. I'm building a business here.
Yeah.
I have aspirations to take over the entire Southeast, eventually the entire United States of America. Watch out, Canada, we're coming for you next. I'm not trying to look at it as an actual business.
Yeah.
Like I'm scaling a business. I'm not just cleaning houses.
That's
And I don't know. That's how I conceive of it, but to each his own.
Is your goal to sell your company, or is it to keep it for your kids? Like, what's the end goal here?
So I don't have an explicit exit plan that's written out, but I would like to pass this along to my children, because I think that one of the best ways to build generational wealth is to purchase real estate and then to build businesses. And so that's what I plan on doing. And to do that and to leave them with somewhat of an inheritance that they can enjoy or survive off of. I think building this business and maybe a few other businesses is kind of the long-term plan, but then just holding them.
I love it. When you reach your 50K a month, we'll invite you into our Millionaire Mastermind group. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, but it's a group that myself and a guy named Brian out of Calgary formed, specifically because we wanted to find other people that were like us more than anything. Like it was like, okay, we've had some success, but we want the next level. How do we find this group of people that are going to be nice and transparent and share their shit? Like that's basically it. So we get together once a month. There's probably about 8 of us maybe in it. There's 4 kind of core that show up every time, and then some people come and go. But the concept is every 4 weeks we get together. We have a theme that we focus on. We did spreadsheets last month or the month before, and you wouldn't believe how nerdy we all got about our numbers. It was really, really fun. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. Like going into the numbers of like, what's your profitability and how much did you spend on marketing and how many recurring, how many one-time clean, So anyway, so you will be invited to join that group. It's a lot like this, but just with more people and more diversity in terms of where we are. And most of us have focused on residential, just because that's the easiest way to get in, and then eventually commercial. So I think you'll really like it.
I would be honored. And one thing that's very difficult for me to do is celebrate, right? I'm like, it's just not good. And when I reached 10,000, I was like, okay, so what? Like, I don't feel it. I was like, I guess this is a thing, hit 5 figures group, but it didn't really change like who I am. That didn't change my identity. It didn't significantly improve my happiness level, but it did allow me to breathe a little easier at night and be able to lay my head on the pillow a little easier and go to sleep a little better, knowing that, hey, I've hit that level and 80% of my clients are recurring. So it's a steady stream. It's gonna keep going.
I love that 80% are recurring. That's our magic number too. It's 80% recurring, 20% one-time cleans. And we always say that it's not just, like you can throw out these numbers. They don't really mean anything. In this case, it actually means quality of life for Jen and I as business owners, but also for the cleaners. So for the cleaners to have 80% recurring and 20% one-time cleans, most of them do that. We have 1 or 2 cleaners that only do their recurrings, but most of them have a mostly full schedule with a day or 2 of move-in, move-outs or deep cleans or prepare for listings or, whatever.
And I will just add to that, it's a quality of life for the clients as well. And
Yeah.
they enjoy that. Like they're like, yeah, put my credit card on file. Come back every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I love those recurring cleans because sure, we're going to charge you $450 for an initial clean, deep clean, but then it's going to just kind of constantly go on. And the cleaner your house gets, the cleaner it gets, the more often we come, the cleaner it gets. And they love that. So I'm not looking at a contract as like, oh yeah, it's $450. No, I'm looking at that. Yeah, that's like a $4,000, $5,000 contract.
Yep.
Annual, recurring, press play, don't pause, rinse and repeat, and get that check every month or every week or every other week. It
Yeah.
just
Or
depends.
every day if it's a good commercial gig. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
It's
good.
a wonderful thing to behold, for sure.
I love it. All right. Do you have questions for me? I think I've asked everything I wanted to know.
Question. I do have a question. I don't know if Bernard
Go for it.
wanted. What is your goal? What's your next step?
So we thought initially that we wanted to build a business that we could sell. First, I will say, we only started our company in July 2021. And I didn't start working on it really until September 2021. So now it's January 2024. So it's been, I guess, 2.5 years, I think. My math is right. And when we first started it, it was like, we want to reach 50K a month because then we could pay our bills and not have to have a job for 2 people. Right. And we pay higher percentages to our cleaners. So our profit margins are only 26 to 28%. So we don't have the 40% profit margins that you have, but we're fine with that. And so initially we wanted to build the company so we could earn 3 million a year and try to sell it for at least 10 million. Now we understand a lot more about how businesses are sold in Canada. A lot of the people that talk about buying and selling these businesses are American, which is awesome. We have very different bank systems and very different conservatism when it comes to math and money and how we value things. So the valuation for a local service business in Canada will be like 3 times. And it's going to be 3 times your profits. So in our case, if we take, a $1 million company and we're earning 300,000, we could then sell it for 900,000, but we're billing $1 million a year. If I was doing this as a SaaS company in the States, I could sell it for $30 million, right?
Easily.
So now that I know what I know, and I still don't know a lot, but I know more than I knew a few years ago. A few years ago, it was like, okay, we do 3 million, we sell it for 10, boom, done, right? Like that's the American model. A lot of people will talk about that. And then, now I'm like, okay, well, that's not really a lot of money. So now I'm kind of like, let's build it to 3 million because we can. And so we should. And that's a good goal. And then keep it going my sister has 3 kids. I don't have any of my own yet, but for now, it would just be that intergenerational wealth builder. They have absolutely no interest in being involved right now, but they're, the oldest is only 21. And so give them time, 10, 20 years. What I love more than anything about this business is that Jen and I work in creative fields and we're able to keep working without the desperation that you normally feel when you work in creative fields about paying your bills. So for me personally, being able to help coach, and Jen's the same, she's a little bit more of an introvert, but Jen does a lot of the coaching on the website side of things, helping people with just making sure that they're actually hitting the right target demographic, that their websites are clean and beautiful. And I know for her, being able to focus on what she loves to do is the most important thing. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer.
Totally get that though. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you went a few different directions with that. You talk about your kids, and you talk about your sister, and you talk about creativity. And essentially it kind of boils down to, hey, do I like what I'm doing or do I not like what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you're going to spend your entire day just being miserable, that's kind of sucks. And I know a lot of us don't have choices. We got to do what we got to do.
Yep.
But
Gotta pay
if we
bills.
could find a way to provide utility within our industry,
Yeah.
it's a huge plus.
Yeah. And I think, it's funny, like, I really love, you mentioned that payday is your favorite day. And I will say every single person in the Millionaire Mastermind group, so all those people that are billing at least 50K a month and are in that group, all of us have said the same thing. We're like, it's the best feeling in the whole world to be able to pay people more than what they're used to getting treat them with respect and kindness, and keep spreading that forward. And I know like it sounds so airy fairy wishy-washy, but like legit, I love it. I love it. And I love giving bonuses. I love giving $20, $25. We give like review bonuses. So if they get a 5-star review, they never ask for them. We never have the cleaners ask for them. So when they do get them, it's like, hey, awesome. Thanks so much. Here's $25.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I like that. This feels right because a lot of people, I'm just like, they're like, focus on profits, focus on, just drive it up, like maximize, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, maybe I could be more successful if I were doing that, like really like pounding the most I could out of my cleaners or whatever. But
I don't think you would
hey,
be.
only live once. Let's enjoy your life. And so I've really enjoyed like watching one of the moms who's a cleaner. She has 4 kids. Her quality of life since working with me has improved because she's making more money because it's reliable. And now she could, buy more shit for her kids or do whatever. They really like enjoying like Christmas and holidays and they go hiking on
Yep.
the weekends. This is why I live. This is my
Yep.
raison d'etre. This is what keeps me going. This is what's going to wake me up, after a night of sleep, is because I am able to not just improve my own quality of life and do something that I enjoy doing, but there are employees that I have that are also seeing this improved quality of life.
Yeah.
That shit lights me up. That's
Yep.
exciting.
Same. Okay, we do have a question. Go for it, Renard.
Okay, I was thinking back to what you were saying about the interviews and having 3 of them, and I was curious, do you have like 3 different things that you're looking for each time, or is it kind of like the same vibe check each time, just trying to look for consistency, or is it like a progression in terms of what you're looking for? I'm just kind of wondering if there's any differences between the first, second, and third interviews.
Yeah, super question. I'm glad you asked. So what I do in the first interview is I try to hold a group interview because I'll just put it out on Indeed or Craigslist and I have them like click through my thing and then fill out their like information and they get a Calendly invite and everybody's going to meet me at 10 p.m. at the Commons, which is this little place, like a little watering hole that we have. Okay. So if 15 or 20 people sign up for that, I can expect maybe 2 or 3 people will show up. It's just facts.
Yep.
Okay, so of those 2 or 3 people that show up, I'm vibing with this person. That person showed up late. That's not a good sign, et cetera. But what I do in that group interview, to get back to your original question, is I talk about our values. I don't talk about the job. I don't talk about other stuff. I just be like, hey, these are our values. And I spend like 15 minutes on that. And then they ask questions. Usually it's about pay, et cetera, et cetera. And then we go on our merry ways. And if I was getting a good vibe from them, then I pull them aside or I shoot them a text and say, hey, can you meet a little later on this week? Let's go hit up, Methodical Coffee, which is another local. I do this all at coffee shops because I love coffee shops. Okay. So we go to the coffee shop. It's great. We love it. They're like, I usually ask them in that interview more about their background, more about like what gets them excited, a little bit about the personal life if they're willing to share, kids, life, hobbies, et cetera. We have a lot of local, things that we talk about. And then they ask me some questions, and then I go over the pay, and then I go over what it looks like. And if they're feeling good about it and I'm feeling good about it, then I'll say, hey, can you come to a working interview? I describe it as a working interview. Basically, it doubles as both an interview with my other team members and a training. Okay, so it's a dual purpose. And I should mention that second interview, I'll usually bring one of my team members along with me because nobody likes like seeing the same ugly face twice in a row. They're like, what is this? So I bring one of my cleaners. They're a lot better looking than me and they're great with this. And so we do it together. And then if we all feel good about it, then they come for that third working interview, which is both like, let's check out their work ethic, see how they do. And hey, let's give them a little training. I pay them for that, what I would pay them normally. I Venmo it or PayPal or Cash App or whatever. And then me and my cleaner, whoever was team lead that day, we talk about it. We're like, this is good. Let's go forward. Sometimes we'll do a fourth interview after that, another working interview. But usually by that point, we're like, yeah, let's join our team. And so I extend the offer, we sign the paperwork and we go. So first interview, group interview, surface level, but core values. Second interview, talk a little bit more in depth, meet up with one of my cleaners. Third interview, let's roll up our sleeves and get working. Does that answer your question, Renard?
No, absolutely. I also was wondering, do you check their equipment or like their supplies? Like, do you have like a checklist or like any requirements around that? Or do you kind of does everyone have the same supplies, all your cleaners, or does it differ?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I provide 100% of the supplies for my cleaners. Every cleaner gets a shark vacuum. Every cleaner gets like this caddy that like holds all their stuff. Every cleaner gets like a whole bunch of supplies. Like I'm giving them Fabuloso, I'm giving them Pledge, I'm giving them stainless cleaner, I'm giving them a pack of rags, I'm giving them all that stuff, and they get a Bona mop as well. So I just give all this to them. Obviously that costs a lot. Like all told, I'm probably in about 300, $400, but that is sort of that's their equipment, right? They're not going to be effective unless they have good equipment. And I'm not going to lean on them to provide their own equipment because I don't feel good about that. And plus, there's some laws in the United States around if you hire the employees, you need to provide the wherewithal for them to do the job. If they're 1099, no problem. They can just bring their stuff and do whatever. But since I'm hiring them as W-2 employees, I am under some level of obligation legally to provide them with that stuff. And just ethically, I think it's best practice. So I give them all the equipment that they need, and I provide them with a training manual. So I kind of wrote this whole thing that describes how do you clean a house, right? Because some of these people are coming in, they don't know how to clean, right? I'm hiring on values, not on experience. And so I call it my team member training manual. It's 40 pages long. I got videos in there. I've got diagrams. I've got rules. I've got stuff. And then they read that and we're good.
Wow.
Is that
Okay. No, yeah, definitely. And I guess the last question, do you do anything? It's interesting because, you have more of the employee structure than the 1099s, the contractors, whatever, but do you do anything to like foster relationships or foster like morale, or do you feel like it just kind of happens organically, or is it more intentional on your part?
Yeah, I wish I could say like we have weekly, monthly parties and we get together and we gather around the fire and sing Kumbaya, but we don't. Maybe I could get better at doing something like that. But what does happen is these cleaners are paired together, sometimes a little bit randomly, just depending on the schedule. And so, Heather is now working with Taryn every Tuesday, and they get along famously, right? And so they're meeting, like you said, organically over the course of the work week. Sometimes they're like, hey, do you want to ride? Yeah, we can carpool this. And so they share and share alike, and it all works out. But at this point, I'm not having regular meetings that are structured this type of team morale. And one thing that I do like to emphasize when I'm, whether it's in my cleaning company or in other organizations that I've led, is we're not a family. Okay, let's not do that. That's bull.
Such BS.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I hate that too.
Such BS. I'm totally with you.
Nonprofits do that a lot.
We're a
To
family.
squeeze everything out of you.
Yeah, right.
Had my experience with family. Hey, no, we're not going there, man. No, thank you. So we're not a family. We're a team of professionals.
And I do the same thing that you do, Daniel, where you kind of mix and match your cleaners, and it does create a really positive workplace if you are honoring your commitments, which means you pay your cleaners well and you pay them on time and you treat them with respect and you fire clients before you fire cleaners. If you've got good cleaners, you got to qualify that first. But, it's in the long run, cleaners have to know you have their backs, So once you have that kind of workplace morale, you don't have to foster it as much.
I like this. And I really like that statement that you said, fire your clients before you fire your cleaners. I'm going to steal that. That's good. I like that a lot. I have a zero tolerance in my company for clients who make the cleaners feel uncomfortable or are rude to them. Like, hell no. I don't have time for that. My cleaners don't deserve that. If you're not respecting these people, I'm sorry, but we're not going to clean for you. It's over.
Yeah. So you just kind of, you got to honor your gut. All right. So we've gone over time, so I'll cut it short. Jen will edit this into the mastery that she does. So it will show up on YouTube in the next couple of days. We will link, Daniel, to your website, of course, unless you don't want us to. But it's always good to get the backlinks. I'm sure you're happy to have the backlinks. And then if people have questions, they'll DM you within our community or write a comment on the post.
Love it. Okay. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so thankful for this opportunity. Jen, please edit out my swearing and whatever else I said that was stupid.
She'll figure it out. Again, we focus on the grown-ups, so this is not a kids channel, this particular one, and we don't, we're not worried about it. So thank you so much for sharing and for sitting in the hot seat. Like, it's not easy to, have somebody say, hey, you're an expert, and you're like, what the heck? But, I have the exact same feeling today. I'll have it in 2 more years, and so will you. You'll reach 1 million, and then maybe you'll feel more qualified to sit in it, but
Who knows? We'll see. I'll update you when it happens. Hopefully sooner than later. And Renard, thanks for your great questions, man. That was awesome.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for your time, Dan.
Of course.